Hello and welcome, citizens of Texas. Today I would like to speak to all of you about an issue that has become increasingly important in society. This issue is the death penalty, otherwise known as capital punishment. Capital punishment is the killing of a person by judicial process for retribution, general deterrence, and incapacitation. This issue hits home with all of you in particular because the state of Texas is known for its extremely high execution rates. The state of Texas has executed a total of 437 people. This is more than 4 times that of any other state. This is exactly why I've chosen to speak to all of you. I want to equip all of you with the knowledge that you need to understand that the death penalty should not be used today because of its inefficiency and immorality. The points I would like to get across to all of you are that executions are more costly than life in prison without parole. They are sometimes performed on wrongfully convicted people. Killing another human being is against many religious beliefs. And finally, that the death penalty does not serve as a deterrent, like proponents claim. 35 of 50 states in the U.S. use the death penalty, and this must change. As long as our judicial system makes mistakes, we cannot continue executing people. I want you to ask yourself, should it be up to us to decide whether one lives or dies? Is it immoral to take another's life even if they might deserve it? When it comes to wrongful convictions, since the reinstatement of the death penalty in 1976, 1,020 people have been executed. But how many of these people were innocent? In total, 135 people have been released from death row due to wrongful convictions. This shows that our judicial system is far from flawless. We cannot continue executing people if mistakes are made. One man by the name of Cameron Todd Willingham wasn't as lucky as the 135 released from death row. Willingham was wrongly convicted of murdering his 2 young children by arson. Willingham insisted he was not guilty in court and tried to explain his innocence. He refused prosecutors' offer of life in prison because he knew he was innocent and trusted that the American judicial system would set him free. Willingham picked the wrong judicial system to trust in. Willingham was found guilty under faulty evidence and sentenced to lethal injection. He spent 12 years on death row, and he was strapped down for execution. He insisted he was innocent one last time, but it was no use. Willingham was executed on February 17, 2004. A follow-up investigation showed that evidence used against Willingham was not valid. A man by the name of David Gran looked at every aspect of the entire case and compiled a report that showed Willingham was innocent. Widely respected expert forensic analysts were brought in and came to the conclusion that all evidence used against Willingham was false. This shows us that advances in forensic science has made wrongful convictions a big issue. Many of wrongful convictions could have happened in the past, but we're not aware because DNA evidence wasn't used back then. DNA evidence does not falter. No arguments can be made against the validity of DNA results because every person has unique DNA with the exception of identical twins. The potential execution of innocent people is not a risk worth taking to keep the death penalty intact. One innocent life lost is one too many. From an economic standpoint, life imprisonment is much more appealing than the death penalty. An execution costs much more than life in prison. On average, life in prison for an inmate costs $500,000. On average, an execution costs $2 million. $2 million cost is accumulated while on death row through counsel, court costs, and many other fees. A lengthy appeals process in court makes the price even more expensive, and separate imprisonment in a high-security death row in prison just adds to that. Honest law-abiding citizens should not be paying this high price for the mistakes of death row inmates. It's most cost-efficient and effective to let these horrible criminals rot in an 8x8 prison cell for the rest of their sorry lives. This would save money, give the prisoners plenty of time to ponder their mistakes, and eliminate the risk of wrongfully convicting and executing someone. With the current shaky economy, why not cut some government spending, which comes from our tax dollars, may I remind you, and abolish the death penalty? Another argument one could take is that the death penalty is immoral and against most religious beliefs. Who are we to play God? Is it our job to choose whether one lives or dies? This is hypocritical. The 6th commandment says, "Thou shalt not kill." It's short and concise and leaves no room for misinterpretation. Whether killing another is right or wrong is set in stone, literally. Death penalty could be considered cruel and unusual punishment as well. The electric chair, firing squads, lethal injection, and the use of gas for asphyxiation do not sound ethical to me. The final argument that proponents make to the death penalty is that it serves as a deterrent. This is not true. Proponents of the death penalty say that it serves as a deterrent to criminals from committing serious crimes. Although this may sound very logical, it's not true. If this were true, the crime rate would have decreased since the reinstatement of the death penalty. A study published on the Death Penalty Information Center website reveals that murder rates in the states with death penalty are higher than states without it. These statistics alone prove that the death penalty does not serve as a deterrent to criminals and therefore should not be imposed on fellow Americans. The death penalty is an issue that must be addressed because it causes much more harm than help. Life in prison without a chance of parole is a much better option for America. The death penalty is not cost-effective, and innocent people have been wrongly convicted. There's no room for error in the death penalty because error leads to death. From a moral standpoint, you now know that most religions stand firmly against killing others. It is considered immoral and is not a viable option for revenge. The death penalty is very hypocritical and does not serve as a deterrent. A quote on a bumper sticker that I saw the other day asks a question that all of us should ask ourselves. Why do we kill people who kill people to show killing people is wrong? Think about it. Any questions?
Yeah, over here.
You, sir.
If we abolish the death penalty, then how would justice be served?
Well, what I recommend is life imprisonment without parole. In my opinion, that's a much better way to have people that commit crimes serve justice. Myself personally would probably rather be dead than spend, over 50 years of my life in an 8x8 prison cell.